Somewhere beneath the surface of the western Pacific Ocean, there exists a place so remote, so alien, so utterly removed from the world we know, that reaching it requires descending further than the height of Mount Everest measured in reverse. At the bottom of the Mariana Trench lies a narrow scar in the ocean floor called Challenger Deep, the single deepest point on the surface of this planet. Nearly 11 kilometers of crushing black water separate it from the sky above, and yet, impossibly, stubbornly, defiantly, something lives there. That is not speculation, that is documented fact. And what those creatures are, how they survive, and what else might be lurking in those lightless depths is a question that continues to unsettle even the most seasoned marine scientists. The story of Challenger Deep begins not with a dramatic discovery, but with a quiet measurement. In 1875, a British naval vessel named HMS Challenger was conducting a global oceanographic survey, dragging weighted lines into the deep to map the ocean floor, when its crew recorded a depth so extreme that many scientists refused to believe it. The reading suggested the ocean floor had simply dropped away into an abyss beyond anything previously imagined. The trench was named after the ship. The deepest point within it would carry that name forward into history. For decades, Challenger Deep remained a number on a chart, a depth measurement, an abstraction. Nobody seriously believed that anything meaningful could exist at such crushing pressures, in total darkness, at near-freezing temperatures, with no sunlight to drive the photosynthesis that underpins almost all life on Earth. The pressure at the bottom is approximately 1,000 times greater than at the surface, enough to crush a human body like crumpling a piece of paper. Then came the witnesses. In 1960, 2 men descended into Challenger Deep aboard a submersible vessel called the Trieste. Their names were Jacques Piccard and Don Walsh. The dive took nearly 5 hours. When they reached the bottom and switched on their external lights, illuminating the pale sediment of the deepest floor on Earth, they saw something that stopped them cold. Moving across the sediment, unhurried and apparently unbothered by the impossible conditions around it, was a flatfish, a living creature, at the bottom of the world. Piccard described it as resembling a sole or flounder, perhaps 30 centimeters in length. Walsh confirmed the sighting. Both men were trained, credible observers, a Swiss oceanographer and a United States Navy lieutenant. They had no reason to fabricate the encounter and every professional reason to report accurately. The sighting was logged in official records, and it immediately raised a question that science has been wrestling with ever since. If a vertebrate fish can survive at full ocean depth, what else is down there? Later analysis would cast some doubt on whether what Piccard and Walsh observed was truly a fish or possibly a sea cucumber, a soft-bodied invertebrate that does thrive in deep ocean environments. But the uncertainty itself is revealing. Even our best observers, even trained scientists with direct visual contact, could not be entirely certain what they were looking at. The deep ocean has a way of confounding expectations. Subsequent expeditions over the following decades began to fill in the picture, and what emerged was far stranger than anyone had anticipated. Researchers deploying unmanned landers, weighted platforms lowered to the ocean floor carrying cameras and bait, began capturing footage of creatures that seemed to belong to another world entirely. Giant amphipods, crustaceans resembling shrimp but reaching lengths of 30 centimeters or more, were found swarming in enormous numbers at Hadal depths, the term scientists use for ocean zones deeper than 6,000 meters. These creatures, normally tiny in shallower waters, had grown to extraordinary sizes through a process called deep-sea gigantism, which researchers believe is linked to cold temperatures, high pressure, and the particular metabolic conditions of the deep. They arrived at bait drops within hours, sometimes in their thousands, suggesting a thriving and active ecosystem in a place where no ecosystem should logically exist. Sea cucumbers were found carpeting portions of the seafloor in dense populations. Polychaete worms, some translucent, some bioluminescent, were observed threading through the sediment. Foraminifera, single-celled organisms that build intricate shells, were discovered living in the deepest sediment samples ever collected. And in more recent expeditions using advanced unmanned vehicles, researchers have documented snailfish, small, pale, gelatinous-looking creatures swimming actively at depths that break every previous record for vertebrate life. In 2017 and 2019, expeditions to the Mariana Trench captured footage of snailfish at depths exceeding 8,000 meters. One particular species, observed moving gracefully through the water column near the trench floor, appeared to be in no distress whatsoever. It was feeding. It was hunting. It was living. At a depth that would kill every other vertebrate on Earth almost instantaneously. The investigation into how these creatures survive has produced some remarkable findings. The snailfish, for instance, have a cellular adaptation involving a compound called trimethylamine oxide, which stabilizes proteins under extreme pressure in a way that prevents the crushing environment from destroying the molecular machinery of life. Their skulls are not fully fused, allowing their bodies to flex rather than fracture. Their cell membranes contain unusual lipid compositions that remain fluid rather than solidifying under pressure. Evolution, it appears, has been quietly engineering solutions to the deep for millions of years. But the biology is only part of what makes Challenger Deep genuinely mysterious. The other part is what we still do not know, and the strange things that have turned up unexpectedly. When researchers analyzed sediment samples from the trench floor, they found something troubling alongside the microbes and organic matter. Persistent chemical pollutants, compounds introduced into the environment by industrial human activity, were present in measurable concentrations in the bodies of amphipods collected from the deepest point on Earth. Creatures living in the most isolated place on the planet, never touched by human hands, never exposed to the surface world, were carrying traces of a world they had no connection to. The deep ocean, it turned out, is not as separate from us as we imagined, and that raises uncomfortable questions about what else may have reached those depths. Similar discoveries have been made in other deep ocean trenches around the Pacific. The Tonga Trench, the Kermadec Trench, the Philippine Trench, each one its own Hadal world, each one harboring unique communities of organisms adapted to conditions that should be incompatible with life. Researchers have found that each trench appears to have its own distinct biological community, shaped by geography, sediment composition, and the particular chemistry of the water column above it. Life in the deep is not uniform. It is diverse, specialized, and in many cases entirely unique to a single location on Earth. This raises a theory that some researchers find genuinely compelling, that the deep ocean trenches may function as evolutionary laboratories, isolated environments where life has been developing along entirely separate trajectories for millions of years, cut off from the surface world, subject to pressures and conditions that drive adaptation in directions we have barely begun to understand. If that is true, then what we have found so far may represent only a fraction of what actually exists down there. The theories about what drives life to these depths vary considerably. The conventional explanation centers on organic material, dead organisms, fecal matter, and biological debris that sinks from the surface ocean and accumulates in the trench, providing a food source for the creatures below. This is called marine snow, and it is the primary energy input for Hadal ecosystems. But researchers have noted that the sheer abundance and diversity of life in some trench environments seems difficult to explain by marine snow alone. Some scientists have proposed that chemosynthetic processes, the same metabolic pathways that support life around deep-sea hydrothermal vents, may play a larger role in trench ecosystems than previously recognized. Others have suggested that the unique geological activity associated with subduction zones, where one tectonic plate slides beneath another to create the trench in the first place, may release chemical compounds that support microbial life independent of any surface input. And the microbes themselves, the bacteria and archaea living in the sediment of Challenger Deep, have been found metabolizing at measurable rates, processing carbon, cycling nutrients, doing the quiet biochemical work of life in conditions that should make life impossible. What remains unexplained is, in many ways, the most fascinating part. We have visited Challenger Deep fewer times than humans have walked on the surface of the moon. The total time that human eyes have directly observed the bottom of the Mariana Trench can be measured in hours. Our unmanned surveys have covered a tiny fraction of the trench floor. The vast majority of Challenger Deep has never been seen, sampled, or studied by any instrument we have deployed. In 2012, a solo descent by a filmmaker and explorer reached the bottom and spent time observing the seafloor directly. The observer noted an environment that appeared, at first glance, almost barren. Pale sediment, low visibility, and eerie stillness. But the longer the observation continued, the more life became apparent. Small creatures moving through the sediment. Biological activity in the water column. A world that was quieter than the surface, but not empty. Never empty. And then there are the sounds. Hydrophone recordings made in the deep ocean, instruments designed to capture underwater acoustics, have picked up signals in the Mariana Trench region that researchers have not been able to fully categorize. Some have been attributed to geological activity, to whale calls traveling extraordinary distances through the water column, to the mechanical noise of human vessels far above. Others have proven more difficult to explain. Low-frequency pulses, tonal patterns, acoustic signatures that do not match any cataloged biological or geological source. Researchers are careful not to overclaim. The ocean is a noisy place, and the deep amplifies and distorts sound in complex ways. But the recordings exist, they have been reviewed, and the question of their origin has not been definitively answered. What lives at the deepest point on Earth? The honest answer is, we know some of it, we suspect more of it, and we have almost certainly not imagined all of it. Creatures built to withstand pressures that would destroy our best engineering. Microbes processing chemistry that has no parallel in the surface world. An ecosystem running on energy pathways we are still working to understand. And somewhere in that darkness, in that cold, in that crushing silence, things are moving that no human eye has ever seen. The deep ocean covers the majority of this planet's surface. Challenger Deep is its most extreme expression. And we have barely looked. If this story left you staring into the dark and wondering what else is down there, you are not alone. Drop your thoughts in the comments. What do you think is still waiting to be discovered at the bottom of the ocean? If you want to keep exploring the strangest and most unexplained corners of our world, subscribe and stay close. The next story goes somewhere you will